Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Nightgame Q&A. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to get settled in, turn off your phones, pay attention. We're gonna go through a lot of content. Basically, I have a few questions from ahead of time. I'm gonna take some questions from you guys live. I have a really interesting format for you guys, and actually have a kind of a special offer for you guys as well. But I'm gonna give you a second. Again, get focused in. I know it's going to take a minute for everybody to get into the room, that kind of stuff. But let's start into the presentation. Give me 1 second. Let me actually hang on. Minor technical difficulty. All right, we're going to screen share with you guys. And there we go. All right, guys. So you should be able to see my screen. Hopefully, we don't have any issue with that. And again, welcome to the presentation. Should be a lot of information for you guys. All right. In this webinar, we're probably going to go about an hour, hour and a half. I'm going to take some questions I got from the email I sent out yesterday. I got a lot of really, really good responses. Tons. You guys actually really blew up my inbox. I spent quite a while going through the questions and seeing what the trends were, seeing what was very popular and what people wanted to hear. Then we're going to go through your questions live on this presentation. Actually, for the first time ever, I'm experimenting with a software so you can upvote the questions. So I'm actually going to try and do the most popular, most relevant questions for you guys. And then I do have a special offer for you guys that is unique to you only on the webinar as a thank you for coming out here. All right. In order to ask your questions live, here is the link. So you want to go to pollev.com/ToddV. Shouldn't be too hard to remember. You might want to write it down. You might want to just head over there right now, actually. That's probably the best bet. But again, it's pollev.com/ToddV. So that's where you're going to enter your questions. And again, I'm going to take the questions I got from email first. But then about halfway through, we're going to switch over and we're going to go to your live questions, the ones that are most important to those of you who are on here. And by the way, thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. All right, so first question we got from email. Hey Todd, the night game for me is challenging because of the loud music on the dance floor. Girls are not able to hear what I'm saying. If I talk louder, it seems try harder, needy. What strategies would you suggest in loud music environments? Okay, so first thing is, yes, maybe talking louder sounds a little bit needy, but not talking louder sounds like not being heard. So it's not really a choice. You just have to talk louder. And there are ways to learn to talk louder. Specifically, you want to speak. You want to be flexing kind of your upper abs when you're talking. Easiest way to learn this, actually, that I've found, and this is going to sound a little weird. I'm going to do this verbally for you guys. It's going to sound a little weird, but you guys can practice this at home as well. What I suggest is speak in an extremely nasal voice, because when you press air through your nose, you can't press from your throat. It has to come from your diaphragm. And so that's going to teach you how to talk from your diaphragm. And then obviously, once you've learned that, you want to talk normally. But learn that feeling in your body of talking very nasal. So you're going, hey, when I'm doing this talking really nasal like this. Right? When you talk really nasal, again, you're forced to flex your diaphragm. You're going to feel that flexion. And then when you do actually shift where you're talking back into your mouth and throat again, but keep that same tension in your stomach, you're going to get a lot louder, but it's still going to sound like you're talking rather than shouting. So that's going to make you able to be louder and cut through the music without it being too much of a pain in the ass. Also, by the way, even if you do talk a little bit nasal in the nightclub, it's actually kind of fine. The tone that you're speaking in can't really be heard that well, and a nasal voice does cut through the music actually better than a non-nasal one. So I'm not going to suggest talking like this, but you can talk a little more nasal than normal, and it actually is fine in the nightclub as far as being loud and cutting through. Other things I would suggest in loud music environments, and actually there are a few questions. I've been through the questions already. There are a few questions here about dance floor and loud areas and stuff like that. So we'll cover this in various ways throughout. But you really do need to commit to getting attention at the start. And there are a lot of non-verbal things you can do as well to get attention. So for example, like tapping the girls on the shoulders as opposed to just walking over makes a big difference. Sometimes in a crazy enough dance floor where people are bumping into each other and there's a lot of physical contact anyway, I'll go over and I'll just kind of sort of hug slightly the group, like put my arms around them just a little bit, lightly and briefly. Because again, everybody's bumping into each other anyway. People are getting their arms into each other all over the place. So it's not an unusual thing in that kind of environment. But it definitely ensures that you actually get some attention and that you're not just ignored. So those are the biggest things in terms of being loud is don't worry so much about being needy. Worry about being heard. Worry about getting on the girl's radar and getting her attention. All the game can happen after that, but just getting her attention, being loud, is really step number one. All right, next question. Hey, Todd, huge fan of your work. How do you smoothly establish premise to qualification to close in a loud, obnoxious setting at a club, particularly on the dance floor when the girl is in a group with her back turned to everyone else? Okay, so again, I told you there was going to be some loud music and dance floor questions, which is fine. That is a big element of Night Game, especially depending on the venue. One thing I do want to say, though, is that if you are not good at doing dance floor game, but you still want to do Night Game, there are lots of venues that don't have dance floors, or there are lots of venues where the dance floor is only part of the club or even a secondary feature of the nightclub, and you can totally game in a way that is, verbal and not necessarily quiet, but quieter, where you're not shouting all the time. So pick the venues you like, right? I know even when I was living in Vegas, which is one of like the loudest dance club kind of places, there are some clubs that have outdoor areas and quieter areas, and you can definitely pick those clubs if you specifically have a problem with dance floor stuff. So I do want to throw that out there because, rather than try and become okay at something you're not good at, instead take something you are good at and just become excellent at it. But again, how do you establish premise, qualification, and close in loud, obnoxious settings, etc.? Well, the answer is you don't, okay? Premise, yes, you do. Premise, you do have to establish in that loud environment because that's at the start of the interaction. But the idea of establishing premise in the right way and getting the girl attracted is to then be able to get a one-on-one conversation, to then be able to take the girl to go sit with you or go over to the bar with you or come back and join your friends, something like that, so that you can have a much more casual environment for those later stages of game, right? You don't want to be in this hyper high energy environment while you're trying to develop a connection, because that's not really appropriate for that environment. So the goal is to do your premise work in that loud environment, and then you want to get some kind of isolation or move to a quieter area or something like that. Trying to do like get to know you stuff on a dance floor where like there's loud music, everybody's bumping into you, that is crazy. So the dance floor can be like a start, and then you take them off the dance floor. But doing the whole set on the dance floor, not usually the best job, but best work. Even if you're good at dancing, because then you become the guy who she's just dancing with rather than the guy she's connected with. And you see this all the time where the girl dances with the guy all night, and then like at the end is like, okay, cool, nice meeting, and goes home, or maybe gives him a number, but then there's no connection, there's nothing real outside of dancing, and it never goes anywhere. Whereas I'm actually a much worse dancer, but when I do talk to girls, I do not just dance floor stuff, I do stuff where they're actually getting to know me, and that way I'm able to actually take girls home, and even when I don't, I can have more solid connections and numbers that might actually go somewhere. Okay, so the real answer is you don't do all of it on the dance floor. The premise stuff that you do on the dance floor, you still want to convey the same ideas, you just do them in quick sound bites, and you're going to kind of emphasize the gamey parts of game, or the high energy parts of game, or the high impact parts of game, more so than the kind of normal chill parts of game. So in Daygame, for example, the ratio of your conversation might look like 60 or 70% normal conversation and 30 or 40% game, even in the first 30 seconds. Whereas in a nightclub, maybe it's more sort of like push-pull lines, more sort of high-impact lines, those kind of things, very, very early on. So maybe it would be like 70 or 80% gamey stuff, and a lot less with the get to know you, because you're not going to be speaking long, complicated sentences or expressing like intricate ideas over loud dance music. That should be reserved for other times. The other thing that you can do is if you establish physicality early on, because again, at a dance floor, you're allowed to dance, you're allowed to touch a bit more than you would be able to in another environment. So if you're able to establish some of that physicality, then you can use physicality as a form of communication as well. So that if you have kind of maybe hugged a girl or whatever, then or even kissed a girl is the ideal one. But if you've gone to a certain point physically, then you can use backing off from that point, doing it again, teasing with your physicality. Those can all be forms of dialogue as well, which are they're music independent, right? You hugging or kissing or spinning a girl around or dancing with a girl, those kind of things. Loudness of the music doesn't distract from them or deter them in any way. If anything, it enhances them. And so you're doing what is congruent to the environment. One other thing I do want to point out to you guys too, because a lot of guys who learn game in like the formal game kind of way are scared of dance floors and they're scared of these loud clubs. But the funny thing is, if you were to go to two bars, you were to go to one that is like a loud dance club venue and one that's like a quiet lounge, and you were to just watch outside throughout the night how many people are hooking up, how many people are leaving with someone, I guarantee you the loud, crazy dance club has more people hooking up and leaving together. So the funny thing is, even though a lot of like guys who learn pickup and learn just only the words, even though they have trouble in that environment, a lot of guys who are just kind of like saying, fuck it, I'm going to have fun and just going for it, do really well in that environment. And the secret is you want to have both. You want to have that fuck it and I'm just going to go for it at the start in order to get the set kind of hooked and in order to get attention and get on her radar. But then you want to have the actual skill once you're one-on-one and once you're in a more chill environment to carry it home. And that's when you're going to do really the best in those environments. Final thing on here, when the girl or group is turning their back to everyone else, that is a problem that you want to solve before it happens. Once the girl's actively trying to turn her back on you or actively trying to reject you, you're kind of sunk. There's very little you can do there because anything you do there is very needed and try hard. And to be fair, if someone's actively trying to turn their back on you and ignore you, and you're like trying, that's almost harassing them. So, what you want to do is you want to have a strong open. You want to open at an angle and in a direction where you definitely get her attention and don't start with her back turned to you. And do a good job before that happens. Because once the girl's actively trying to reject you, that's not the time to solve it. It's better solved in advance. It's one of those like ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure kind of situations. All right. Hey, Todd, I want to work on approaching small groups of girls since hot girls are hardly found their own. What's your method to opening small groups and winning them over while you game the girl you like? Thanks. All right. So there's a lot here. I mean, you're basically asking about an entire kind of branch of game, which is huge to advanced game, which is called group theory. I'm going to give you some of like the larger points. But this is the kind of thing that we could go into, like if you were doing like, calls with Mirror Coach or something like that, or if you were like on a coaching program, this is something we could go into in quite some depth. Because it is an intricate skill. I mean, I had a one-on-one student recently who we basically spent like 2 full days doing group theory, and he made massive progress. He went from not being able to open to like whatever to doing really well. And he actually even ended up going home with a girl from a group set. But it is an intricate thing, and it's something that is very hands-on. But I'll give you the best answer I can in this sort of like in this format. So there are really 2 ways to go about opening. You can either go from the group to the girl or from the girl to the group. Either one is completely fine. But you need to engage both the group and the girl within the first probably 20 seconds, at most maybe 30 seconds. Because it's almost like 2 separate conversations you're having. And you're actually, weirdly enough, you're 2 separate personalities being conveyed. All right. If you could choose how you want the group to view you, you would want them to view you as like the most fun, cool, non-threatening guy possible. Almost like imagine if you were like the most high status gay guy in the world. That's almost how you want the girl's friends to view you, because you want them to have fun with you. You want them to think that you, by being a part of their group, are adding value to all of them and making the situation better. And you want them to feel that their friend is completely safe with you and that you would never, take any liberties or whatever. On the other hand, with the girl herself, you want to establish some premise, make it man to woman. You want to be that sexy, dangerous, intriguing guy that she feels some motivation to really see. Because if it's too platonic, then the upside just isn't there. And it's not as engaging and those kind of things. And so it's kind of 2 separate dialogues. And you're going to have 2 separate types of conversation to the group and to the girl. So to the group, it's going to be very friendly, very positive, very upbeat. To the girl, it's going to be more... It can be very positive as well, and it should often be positive. But it's okay if it's negative sometimes. And it's basically what it is, though, is it is sexual in nature. You're conveying not that you necessarily like the girl, or not that necessarily anything's going to happen with you and the girl, but that if the 2 of you end up being something, that thing you end up being will be man to woman, will be sexual in nature, right? And so, like take for example the word like friendly versus the word dangerous. Right, friendly is a word you would use with the group. The group's friendly, fun, nice, those kind of things. With the girl, you'd use the words like dangerous, trouble. You'd say, I don't know about you, those kind of things. Right? You could use the word sexy, but you have to be careful of overusing that because it's a big compliment. But you could be like, if you'd be like sexy, but there's something dangerous about you, maybe that would work as like kind of a push pull. But notice that the mode of communication with the girl that you're interested in is more sexy and sexual. The way that you're communicating with the group is more friendly and general. And in terms of opening, again, you can either open the girl, hey, maybe like some kind of push pull, like, hey, you looked adorable, but trouble, etc. Oh, hey, are these your friends? Nice to meet you. And then you introduce yourself to the friends and focus on the friends, get them on your side. Or you could open the whole group. Hey, what's up? You guys look so fun together, something like that, something general, positive to the group. And then, oh, whoa, what was that look, right? And now you're indicating the girl you're interested in, your quote unquote target, in a different manner, right? And so that's what you want to have, is you want to have that dichotomy, that difference of communication between the two elements, between the group and the girl. But you need to engage both, because if you don't engage the group, they'll drag the girl away. If you don't engage the girl, you'll end up talking to the group and she'll end up wandering off or end up getting disengaged. Okay, how to handle when she wants to go dancing or her group drags her away to dance and you're not part of the group. This is really hard. This is really hard, and this is another one of those things that's better solved before it happens, right? Ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. So you have to ask yourself, why is it she wants to go dancing? Well, it's because whatever's happening right this second isn't very engaging, right? I'm gonna give you kind of a weird a weird lesson from children, from dealing with children. Children oftentimes, whatever they're doing, if they're enjoying it, they don't want to stop, even if there are other good options, right? So it's like something that happens with my son, right? If he's doing one thing that's really, really fun, and that he likes, and then we offer him like one of his absolute favorite things, even though we offered him something that's more fun, he's like, no, I want to keep doing this, because in that moment he's enjoying that. Girls the same way. If she's having a good vibe with you, she's not considering, oh, can I go dancing? Can I leave? Can I get a drink? She's just focused and enjoying having that good time with you. But when the energy wanes, or when it gets less interesting to her, when you get distracted, she gets distracted, the sexual energy comes down, something like that happens, that's when she will decide, oh, I want to go dancing, or oh, I want to go eat a drink, right? So if you are being engaging enough, those things don't happen as often. In terms of the group dragging her away, that'll happen sometimes, but that usually is that you didn't engage or deal with the group well enough, right? So if you get the group really, really on your side, then they may stay with you longer. They may not drag her away to go dance quite as quickly. At some point, they may drag her away to dance, but also they may be okay with her staying with you if you've done a really, really good job, and especially if you put in a little bit of time there, right? So there are definitely things you can do along those lines to prevent this from happening. If and when the girl's friends do drag her away to the dance floor, you kind of have a choice to make, whether to go with them or whether not to. I kind of prefer not to in most cases, for a couple reasons. One, because the fact that they're dragging her and the fact that she's going already indicates that the set is not perfect. It already indicates that you could have a better interaction or a better approach with another girl potentially. And so you're already fighting, you're already putting yourself in a situation that's not the best. But the real reason is this. If you go into that situation of dancing with a group, this is the one situation in nightclubs that I absolutely hate the most, because you're kind of in a no-win situation. If you dance with a girl and you don't escalate, it's really boring for her. But if you dance with a girl and do escalate, the group is likely to be very, very protective. And if the group was dragging the girl away to dance in the first place, they probably are feeling protective and they probably are not very okay with you escalating. So it's this weird no-win kind of situation that I really do kind of hate. So I try and avoid that. Oftentimes in this kind of case, if the group's dragging her away, but she's into you, I will try for some kind of close and meet up later or something like that. I'll like maybe even, I don't like taking numbers from Nightgame that much, but I mean, I prefer to pull and do other things. But in this case, maybe I will like, hey, listen, go with your group. I'll take your number. Let's meet up later. Maybe we'll bump into each other. I will grab a drink. If not, let's meet up later. And then you just, do the best you can with following up that number. And then you go approach other girls. But this is a situation that is much better solved before it happens. If you're finding yourself in this situation over and over again, I mean, it will happen occasionally no matter how good you get. But if you're finding yourself in this situation every single set, which is most guys' experience, that means you're doing a really bad job of either engaging the girl or engaging the group. So you're much better off solving this before it happens. Okay. I've been having a hard time with wings. We get along really well, but when we go into set, it seems to go worse than when I'm alone. Any tips for getting more cohesion or format we should follow that eventually leads to isolation? All right. Winging, another huge, huge topic that I could probably talk about for hours, but I'll give you some cliff notes and some ideas. First thing that I would say is not every approach needs a wing, All right. So if you're trying to have your wingman in every single approach with you, you're doing it wrong. Okay. The major reason why a wingman exists is for talking to groups of 2 girls. That is why wingmen exist. Right. And because a lot of girls are in 2s, and because one of the easiest ways to pull is as a 2 and 2 combination. That's what wingmen are for. If you're in a group of 5 girls, you probably don't need a wingman. And in fact, a wingman might actually make it harder for you. Okay, why is that? Well, if you're in a group of 5 girls, you can talk to one and the other 4 can talk amongst themselves oftentimes. Right? Excuse me. So you can talk to one and the other ones can talk amongst themselves, and you can essentially get isolation. If your wingman now comes in and he's talking to one, you're talking to one, now it's kind of weird for you to isolate because why are you talking to the girl and ignoring your wingman? Also, just on probability, if there's 2 guys in the interaction, there's twice as much chance that somebody messes something up, somebody does something wrong, somebody does something that blows you out. So you're kind of decreasing your probabilities in that way. Now, special case, or not even special case, semi-common case, is that you end up with a big group that's really a group of 2. So maybe you end up with 10 girls, and it's the girl, her best friend, and then 8 girls she barely knows. In that case, again, it's essentially a group of 2. So having a wingman, again, might be useful. But essentially understand that wingmen are for groups of 2. That's what wingmen are for. Wingmen are for allowing you to isolate in a situation where you wouldn't otherwise be able to isolate. If you have a really nice wingman who's really willing to like jump on a grenade for you, then you might be able to have him help you with a set of 3 or 4. But in that case, he's going to be stuck talking to 2 or 3 girls for a while, and he's going to have basically very little chance of isolating or pulling himself. So he can do that for a while for you and help you get some isolation. But in the long run, he's probably going to be better off leaving, and it's not going to be all that useful for the rest of the night. So there are some applications, but in general, again, not all sets should be winged. The other thing, too, that I see a lot of wings do is they spend so much time trying to be good wingmen that they forget they're still supposed to do good game. Right. And so, for example, let's say I'm walking around by myself in a nightclub, and we'll talk about, I think there's some questions about going out alone too. So we'll talk about that too. But if I'm out alone and I see a girl I like, I go approach her. If I'm out with my wingman, oftentimes I'm going to sit there with my wingman. Do you like the friend? Do you want to do this one? Do you want to go to another one? And we sit there like hesitating and talking and figuring it out rather than just doing the approach. And then we miss the opportunity. We miss the window. We don't approach, something like that. And that's obviously very, very inefficient. So you don't want to have that be the case. What I really recommend doing with my wing is staying in a similar area and kind of having an idea where each other are, but actually doing approaches alone. So he does his approaches, I do my approaches. But when I end up in a good situation, then I'm going to either call him over or bring the girls over to him or something like that. And that allows for a lot of things. It allows for, first of all, you're opening twice as many sets between the 2 of you, in theory, right? So you have twice as many opportunities to find girls that like you and that things will go well with. But also you're able to run the interaction for a little bit yourself, establish your value, establish the dynamics, pick a target, those kind of things, and only then bring it to your wing. It makes the actual transition to the wing a lot smoother and a lot easier. So I actually kind of prefer to do that. Now, obviously, if you happen to see 2 girls and it's the 2 of you, by all means go approach together. But even then, you don't have to. You could approach and then have your wing come separately after, and that's completely fine. So what I would suggest is don't be wing reliant. Be wing capable and be wing opportunistic, right? There's your wing there who can help you. There's your wing there who can support you and get you through some logistical situations. But it's kind of like the Hippocratic Oath in medicine. First, do no harm, right? So first, don't do any harm to your game by incorporating a wing. Do game as normal plus a wing, as opposed to game where you're using your wing as a crutch. The other thing that I see guys do a lot with a wing, which is bad, is that they'll stand around and talk to their wing the whole time, and they'll use the fact they're having a fun conversation as an excuse not to approach. That's obviously problematic as well. But I recommend that. The other thing I recommend in terms of winging is communicate. Communicate with your wingman. All right. You should have ways of communicating. Even if you just flat out say it, it's better than not. But you can have codes or little little inside things with your wing for this. But you should be able to communicate. Whether you're into your girl, you should be able to communicate to him whether you think this set is going well and worth staying in, or whether you think you should leave. You should be able to communicate to him whether, like, when you think that it's time to move to another venue, whether it be taking the other girls to another bar or take the girls to go sit down or whatever. But having that communication with your wing is going to be really, really useful. One of the things that I hate the absolute most with winging, and this happens because as a coach, I deal with a lot of inexperienced wings, is that, we'll be in a group of 2 girls, as you should. He's talking to his girl in isolation. I'm talking to mine in isolation. and I get my girl to basically agree to go home with us, right? She's basically agreed to come with us. She's going to talk to her friend or whatever, but she seems fine, etc. I basically arranged the entire pull. And then as we walk over, I see my wing like trying to number close his girl and potentially leave. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why? What are you doing? You just like ruined all the work I just did. So really communicating what the outcome you're looking for is, how good you think the interaction is going, whether you like the girls. That's very, very, very important. Okay, cool. Next question. Hi, Todd. Thanks for doing this. Here's my question. How do you stay out of your head and get over your fear of sounding dumb on the open? Thanks, Rafa. All right. So this is a one it's not necessarily nightclub specific, but can be applied to the nightclub. It occurs all over the place. But let's talk about it even specifically in the nightclub, because the same answer that's true everywhere will be even more true in the nightclub. So in this, I want to kind of give you a metaphor to a different area of life that I'm not very good at, but I did do a little training in, which is singing. I'm a terrible, terrible singer. And the reason I actually did a little bit of vocal training is because I'm such a terrible singer. I was just curious to see if I even could. And I actually could learn. I did get kind of okay for a little bit at a few songs that I specifically practiced, not at anything else that I haven't practiced. In any case, the interesting thing was, because I was a bad singer and because I knew I was a bad singer, my natural inclination when trying to sing a note was to try and sing it quietly and try and hit the note and then get loud once I had hit the note. And funny enough, this makes it really hard to hit the note. It's just not the way the instrument of your vocal cords works, right? It's actually a lot easier to hit the note by just like committing and going for it and being nice and loud and resonant. And that's how you actually hit the note properly, right? And it's the same thing with this fear of approaching, fear of sounding dumb. So oftentimes what happens is you fear sounding dumb. And so you go in with this kind of like hesitant, half-assed approach, or you're going with this like uncommitted approach. And you're the idea like, well, let me just see if it works. And if it works, then I'll commit, right? And what happens is the very fact of you trying to make it work makes you seem nervous, makes you seem hesitant, makes it very, very awkward, makes it seem like you have an agenda, and is the very reason why it's not going to work. Whereas if you just went in and just said, you know what, fuck it, if it sounds dumb, it sounds dumb, I'm just going to do it. Most of the time, what you're actually saying, especially at the first moment of the open, is less important than the fact that you're committing to it and the fact that you believe in it and the fact that your tonality is good, your eye contact's good, those kind of things. That's going to matter a lot more than the words. And so instead of worrying about sounding dumb on the open, worry about sounding uncommitted or unconfident on the open and correct that, right? Go big on the open. Go in a way that's going to get her attention, in a way that's going to say like, I'm sure of myself and I'm having fun. That should be what you're trying to convey. The actual words you say don't matter that much. After the open, during the conversation, words start to matter. But for the actual moment of opening, that actual thing you're very scared of, say something dumb. It doesn't matter. I have students challenge me sometimes. I say, give me the worst opener ever, and I'll go do it. And I'll go open with the worst opener, like literally the worst things you can think of. I will go make them work. Why? Because I'm just going to say them in a way that I seem like I'm having fun, or I don't care, or the energy behind them, the tonality, the eye contact behind them is right, and I'm having fun. That's the biggest thing on the open. So don't worry about sounding dumb on the open. Worry about sounding unconfident, uncommitted, too quiet. Those are the things that are going to hurt you on the open. Being dumb on the open, if anything, might actually help you, because she might comment on how dumb you were, in which case now you're in a conversation. Or it might confuse her a little bit. So instead of giving like a normal like rote answer, she might actually like stop and think, wait, what did you say? And actually engage with you. So funny enough, there are times when sounding dumb actually even can work to your advantage. All right, next question. Hey, I was wondering how you get better at game for guys who are introverted and smart but don't have good social or flirting skills. I hope to hear from you soon. All right, cool. So again, this is a similar kind of one to the last one in a way, or at least similar kind of guys will be asking this one to the last one. But here's the thing. I'm a natural introvert myself. And as an introvert, what we're basically kind of trying to do socially is kind of save energy and be efficient. That's what introversion really comes from, right? Whereas extroverted, I think literally the definition of introvert extrovert is extroverted people gain energy from social interactions, whereas introverted people typically feel like they're spending energy in social interactions, right? And so this idea that like you don't want to spend energy, you want to conserve energy, it really messes you up as an introvert. Okay, that's the idea that messes you up. Because here's the thing: think of an interaction and an energy level to keep someone's attention. So maybe if they're already at an energy level that's like 6 out of 10, in order to hold their attention, you have to go in at like 6.5 out of 10. Great. Okay. So you go in at 6.5 out of 10, but you just barely kept their attention. And now for the next minute, you have to do 6.5 out of 10. And the next minute, 6.5 out of 10. And the next minute, 6.5 out of 10. And the entire interaction, you're putting in energy and putting in energy and putting in energy. And as an introvert, this feels very taxing and depleting, and it makes you not want to do it. And it makes makes your game not very good also. If, on the other hand, instead of going in and just trying to conserve energy and do 6.5 out of 10, you go in and you go like, I'm going to do 9 out of 10 energy for the first 30 seconds. And you go very hard. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to just expend all my energy. Right? I'm just going to make this a sprint instead of a marathon. And what ends up happening oftentimes is because you put in that higher level of energy, you're much more engaging, you're much more compelling. And then the other person starts contributing. The other person starts asking you questions. The other person starts bantering back with you. And now, because they're now carrying a lot more of the conversation, now maybe you have to put in 3 out of 10 energy instead of 6.5 out of 10 for the rest of the interaction, or even less. Sometimes it can even get to the point where they're just fully going to carry it for you. So this inclination to be efficient, this inclination to try and save energy actually is massively inefficient. It actually costs you way more energy overall. The best way to do good game, best way to have good conversations is, instead of trying to do an okay job and save your energy, do your absolute best. Do the absolute most incredible, amazing, over the top, best effort you possibly can for the first 30 seconds or a minute. And that's going to give you the ability, the privilege of sitting back, relaxing, and having the girl talk to you, having the girl game you. This also is the secret to advanced game, which is why it's funny, because a lot of extroverted guys have a much easier job getting from beginner to intermediate, but a harder time getting from intermediate to advanced. Whereas a lot of times introverts who get good at game have an easier time with that switch from intermediate to advanced, but they have a much harder time getting started, much harder time, getting over those beginner issues. So if you are an introvert, take some solace in that. Be a little bit encouraged by that. If you're an extrovert, keep that in mind as well, and keep in mind that as you do get towards advanced, that not talking so much sometimes, leaving some spaces, leaving some pauses, pulling back in the conversation rather than just go, can oftentimes be the secret for you. All right, next question. I was wondering if you could address comfort shit tests in a night game setting, how to recognize them, and also how to properly orchestrate a step-by-step pull from the venue, which really that's 2 questions. What are your favorite or preferred bounce around spots in the area to go from venue to place to place? Okay. Anyway, I get what you're saying here. To go to different places and eventually end up in isolation. Thanks, and look forward to the webinar. Okay, cool. So these are 2 really different questions. I'll answer both of them though. First one is comfort shit test in a night game setting. So comfort shit test, basically, for anyone who doesn't know, is the idea that a girl can ask you or give you, she can test you on the same thing or different things even, but she can test you for different reasons. Early on, the girl may not know you have value. Early on, the girl may not know that you're a cool guy, and so she'll tend to test you for that. Later on, if she spent some time with you, she knows you're a cool guy, otherwise she wouldn't have spent that time. She knows you have some value. What she's testing for now is, are you genuine, are you real, or are you being fake, right? Does she have actual access to that value? Do you consider her special? Are you going to treat her with respect, right? Because a high value guy who's going to treat her with disrespect is worse than a medium value guy who's going to respect her potentially. So you start being tested for different things. The interesting thing though is addressing comfort shit test in a night game setting. Similar to a previous question, by the time you're getting comfort shit tests, you shouldn't be in a pure night game setting. Meaning you should not be getting comfort shit tests in the middle of a loud dance floor while gyrating together, right? You should be getting comfort shit tests once you have isolated the girl to come over and grab a drink with you, or once you've isolated a girl to come over and sit on the couch with you, or once you brought the girl back to your group of friends and you're just chilling. That's when you should be getting comfort shit tests. And so it should not be a different kind of a thing, because comfort shit tests are a little bit more about being genuine, more about being relaxed, more about being chill. So you want to be handling them in a chill environment, and the natural progression of the interaction should be going in that direction. So again, this harkens back to this idea that what do you want to do in nightclub game is you want to use the fact that the nightclub will help you get more attraction because there's a higher energy level, right? It's easier to get physical. It's easier to get high levels of attraction in a nightclub than it would be in day game because of that environment. And so it's really good for the early stages of game. However, it's kind of bad for the later stages of game because that's when you're being more genuine, getting to know the girl, and having more intricate ideas exchanged. And so you want to go to a quieter part of the club, go to a place where you can be more one-on-one, or at the very least, even if it's still loud, go to somewhere where you're not getting bumped into and harassed by the entire crowd the entire time. So setting up the proper scenario is going to help a lot. And then from there, you do the same thing you would to handle comfort shit tests at any time, which is to not fall into her frame. However, understand what she's actually asking for. A comfort shit test is a beautiful thing because she's basically telling you her concerns. She's telling you where her mind is at, what she needs from you, what she wants from you, what would make this experience better for her. So you want to you don't want to be so reactive that you're bending over backwards and changing who you are and not being yourself around her and falling into her frame because that's a low value behavior. But you also at the same time want to be cognizant. So for example, maybe if a girl were to give you the comfort shit test of maybe that you're a player or something like that, you don't want to be like, no, baby, I would never, and you're the only. You don't want to do that because that's falling into a frame and being super needy, and it's going to probably be different than the confident guy you were being before. So what you might do, you're like, oh, this is so cute. You think that? Come here, let me give you a hug, right? Not taking it seriously, just being above it, that sort of thing. But then also understand she just expressed the concern that you might be a player. So rather than verbally say I'm not a player, start acting a little bit not playerish. Start giving her more opportunities to connect. Start sharing a little bit more about yourself. Start slowing the conversation down. Don't say cheesy common things that you've said a million times. Instead, just try and be more genuine and express a more true part of yourself. So on one hand, handle the frame control, but on the other hand, understand what she's really asking for. What is it she's really seeking from you, and then start giving her what she's seeking. Okay. In terms of orchestrating a step-by-step pull from the venue. Okay. Basically, there's a couple things that I'll just very quickly say. First one is you want to start it before the end. You don't want to be at the very end of the night, you've never mentioned going anywhere. You're like, okay, let's go. You want to bring up the idea of you guys hanging out together. You want to make that an assumption in the interaction from very, very early on. And there's a whole process to this, which it'd be too long to deal with here, but I'll give you the steps: seed, frame, qualify, and lead. So seed, basically mention the idea that you might go somewhere. Frame, set it up as a win for her. Qualify, have her earn it in some way rather than just having it be a given thing that doesn't have any specialness. And then eventually you want to lead when the time comes. And then in terms of places to bounce, the most important thing is that it be kind of nearer to where you want to go. So look at the places near where you live, and look at places where you can have a nice, intimate, isolated conversation where you won't be disturbed. You can really get to know the girl, those kind of things. That's what we're really looking for. And it can be a variety of different places. Bars are typically the easiest because they're socially accepted, but there can be a lot of things. If you have a place with a great view, you have a great place to walk to, or anything like that, can be amazing. So get creative, but understand that you want it to be calm and isolated. That's the major thing, because you just want to be able to talk and get to know the person. That's the major thing. And you also want it to be a place where if escalation happens, she doesn't feel she doesn't feel insecure and nervous of people watching her or whatever. All right. Okay, cool. So that's it for the pre-emailed questions, but we're going to come back to your live questions in just a second. Again, if you want to add your live questions over there or upvote some questions, make sure that the questions you're most interested in get answered. Check out over here, pollev.com/ToddV. So you can go over there, send in your questions, I'll answer them, etc. Okay. So with that said, I want to give you guys kind of a special opportunity, and also tell you about a special thing we have going on, which is we're doing a 48-hour flash sale. I don't do sales very often, but I am doing that for you guys, and also an even extra special offer for you guys on the webinar. So basically, what we're going to be talking about is my 90-day online coaching program. And what is that? Well, basically, it's 12 weeks of online coaching, right? So what you're going to get, and by the way, the program is very, very personal to you. So you're going to have one-on-one calls, one-on-one curriculum, one-on-one missions, etc. So it's completely designed around you. It's going to be your goals, your sticking points, your progress, right? So where do we go with it? We start with a 1-hour orientation call with my program director, is a guy named Dylan, who's absolutely amazing. And he's going to talk with you about what your goals are, where you're at, what your experience in game is, what your preferences are for what types of game you like to do. You like day game, night game, online game. those kind of things. And he's going to really, really get to know you. And then we're going to assign one of our elite level coaches based on what you specifically are focused on. So we have coaches that specialize in day game, night game, online game, inner game, outer game, eliminating leveling behaviors, all these different types of things, and many more different things. So we're going to pick the coach who's going to match with you in terms of what you're looking for, match with you in terms of your skill level, match with you in terms of your personality, even sometimes your educational background, those kind of things, right? Who's the guy who's going to be the absolute best fit for you? And then you're going to get 12 weekly one-on-one calls with that personal coach. And he's not just a coach, he's going to be a mentor. He's been with me, or these coaches, they've been with me for quite a while. All these guys have been in game for at least 4 to 7 years, and all these guys have been around me, traveling, teaching, those kind of things for at least a year. Many of them much more than that. So they're not only guys that have game, they're guys who can teach it and who I've taught to teach it in the way that I've found most efficient over the last 2 decades. So this is your personal virtual wingman. And they virtually go in field with you in the sense that one thing we really encourage you to do is if you get audio recordings, they'll actually sit through audio recordings and go through word by word, sentence by sentence, how you could have done better. If you get text messages with girl text message exchanges or online exchanges, they'll go over with you and explain, like, here's what you should have texted, here's what to text next, those kind of things. So they'll be right with you in field. I've even had myself and coaches doing this program where we'll actually even be on the phone with someone when they do go out in the field, especially guys who are kind of new and maybe have some approach anxiety. Sometimes we'll even be literally on the phone with you, giving you like debrief as you go, encouraging you, giving you missions, what to do live in field. So it's really, really interactive, really, really personal. They'll break down your sets, answer your questions. Also, we do have email and WhatsApp support during the week. So if in between calls you have some questions, you can reach out to the coaches that way as well. And maybe one of the biggest things they can do is they do give you a kick in the ass, and they do give you that accountability, because we all kind of know we should go to an approach, but it's just, when you have someone that you respect and are learning from telling you to do it, it makes a difference. Or when you have this call and you're going to be, going over your week, you want to go out and make sure that you have something to talk about on the call. It's amazing how much more the guys that are on the program will go out during the program than they were before the program. It really does get guys taking action. They're also going to give you personalized missions. So based on where you're at, they're going to give you between the calls, go do this particular thing. Like when you go talk to the girls, make sure that you're doing this, this, and this in every interaction. Or make sure that you're maybe if you're getting numbers, not trying to pull or do venue changes. Maybe they say, and every single approach you have to do this and this. And then let me know how it goes. We'll touch base and grow from there. So each and every week, you're going to be progressively going to the next stage based on exactly where you're at. You're going to track your goals weekly and your results. Also, in addition to the calls with the coaches, you're going to get 12 weekly group calls with me. So in kind of the same way that I'm answering the questions here, and in the same way that I'm about to answer a lot of the live questions you guys have, it's going to be like that, except much, much, much more intimate. Imagine if instead of hundreds of people on this call, you have only like under 10 people on the call, and I'm actually going through every single question. So you know that when you get on, your question with me will be answered. And actually your questions, you can ask more than one, right? So, we'll get on there with me. You're going to ask your questions. I'm going to answer your specific questions every single week and give you that guidance. Again, smaller groups so that I can give you that personal attention. So that's the 90-day online coaching program. That's $24.97 is the regular price for that. But again, we're giving you a special for being here. In addition, on the 48-hour special, we have 3 bonuses. First one is free one-on-one roadmap call with me. So when I do Skype coaching, I do $500 for a session. So that's the regular price for that. But what we're going to do is not just any session. At the very start of your program, you can actually do it at the start or the end. It's up to you. People prefer one or the other. But you can do start or the end. You're going to get a roadmap call with me. All right. And so what we do is we're going to sit down, figure out exactly where you're at, exactly what your goals are, exactly what you're working on. I'm going to go through and I'll find sticking points you don't know you had. I promise. I'm really good at that. So we're going to figure out exactly where you're at, figure out exactly where we're going to go, and we're going to come up with the roadmap to get you there. And then with the coach you're going to work with, if you do this at the start, I'm going to help work with him, and I'm going to give him the notes from our call, give him the exercises from our call, and he's going to incorporate that into the missions he's going to do with you over the next 12 weeks. If you do it at the end, then obviously you've worked with the coach, you've gotten to a certain point, and then you can have me kind of work with you as a launching pad to go afterwards for how to work on your own. But either way, you get that one-on-one call with me at the time that's optimal for you in order to maximize your learning experience and maximize your long-term growth in game. Because what I really care about, what I really like when I have students is I want you to get as good as possible on the program, but I want you to keep getting amazingly good after the program and for the rest of your life. So I want to help with designing that roadmap and help with making that as efficient as possible. So again, $500 regular price, free with this offer. And I'm going to, I'll design your roadmap personally. Next bonus, the system, my flagship online program, normally $297 online. Basically complete step-by-step from the open all the way to sleeping with a girl or all the way to getting in a relationship, open all the way to close, exactly where you're at, exactly what you want to be doing every single step of the way. It has over 30 hours of high-value content, including hours and hours of infield sets, dozens of hours of just even strictly infield sets and breakdowns. You can see exactly how I talk to girls, exactly word for word. You can steal my lines, whatever. So really, really amazing. By the way, if you already are a member of the system and you want to do this, we do have a special edition for you as well. So we're not leaving you out. There's something special as an add-on if you already are a system member too. All right, and bonus number 3, we have the Advanced Pulling Techniques Masterclass. It's a weird thing at the bottom, but it's fine. Normal price for this is $197. Basically, this is me going through top to bottom exactly how I pull, right? Exactly how I set it up in the girl's mind that this is a situation that could go towards a pull. But remember the question on like venues and different things like that. All that stuff would be covered in here, like what my exact favorite venues are, how long, how I know when the girl's kind of ready, all that kind of stuff. The seed frame qualified lead that's in here, right? With examples of situations I've come up with in real pulls. So step by step, exactly how to pull. This is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, something I really don't talk about on YouTube. But something obviously you're not advanced if you can't pull. So very, very useful program, and not something I ever sell separately. So this is like kind of the only way to get it. So for that offer, it's at toddvdating.com/48 hours. Again, that's special for the next 48 hours. It's only going to be for a limited time. So check out the offer. It's a pretty huge discount. I think it's something like 60% off of all of that stuff. So I barely ever do discounts, and this one's a pretty insane one. So check it out over there. Also, for you guys who are on this webinar, so thank you for being here. One extra bonus I'm giving you guys, but this is for the next hour only. So it's for during this webinar and the next hour only. $500 off on a bootcamp or an immersion with this special. All right. So if you want to go take a bootcamp, take an immersion, $500 off on this. And I never, ever discount live coaching, right? These bootcamps and immersions, every single one of them always sells out. So I never discount them, but I am discounting it as a part of this offer because it's such a good synergy. Well, first of all, as a thank you for being on here, but also because it's such a good synergy between doing some online coaching and some live coaching. They really do work together to make an amazing, amazing package. All right. So anyway, so toddvdating.com/48 hours. I suggest you guys go over there as soon as possible. I'll give you I'm going to answer a couple quick questions people have about this, and then I'm going to zoom over in a minute to the live questions you guys have for those of you who are on here. So stay tuned for that in just a second. I'm going to answer a couple quick questions about this program that I do get very, very often. One of the most common ones I get is, can I buy now and start later? Because it is, it's a special promotional offer for a limited time, but maybe you're busy with work or you're traveling or going to be settling in somewhere else in a few weeks or a month or something like that. And the answer is yes, you absolutely can do that. Just let us know when you do the one-on-one call with the program coordinator. Just let him know, or you can even email him in advance of the call if you'd like. Let him know your preferred start date. Let him know what you want to do. Usually, we do prefer you start right away, just because when people are motivated and want to do something, that's the right time and the best time to do it. But if there's a logistical reason, you can delay a month. We'll allow you to delay up to even 6 months or a year if you want to, although we do encourage you starting right away, because when you're motivated and driven, that's the best time for learning. But yeah, if you do want to do a later date, you absolutely can. Other question is, can you pick a coach? So some of you may be familiar with some of my coaches. Some of you may have seen videos I've done with some of the coaches, or some of you may have your own preferences as far as the coach. You absolutely can. We're going to obviously give you our recommendation All right. All right. Technical difficulty, but I think we should be good now. Give me a second. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me and see the thing in just 1 second. I'm gonna check. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Hey guys, sorry about that. Little technical difficulty with the screen sharing, but we should be good. I think we're on the page where we have the questions, and also you guys can hear me. So should be good. All right. So first question we have, what is a good pre-game routine to get into state? And this is a really interesting question because the answer is different for different people. The same thing that works really well for one person really won't work for another one. And this is actually one of the reasons why I really like having a lot of coaches in my stable and like getting the right coach with the right guy. Because even among my coaches, there are different guys, different ones. There's some guys who like to go out and talk to everybody, right? The approach all mentality, which is go in and talk to the bartender, talk to the bouncer, talk to the first group of girls you see, even if they're not hot, and just get yourself in that social mode. And that works really well for a lot of guys. That's one really good answer to how to get into state. However, there are other guys, myself, that doesn't get me into state or into a mode at all. What that gets me into is a bunch of conversations I don't want to be in and I'm annoyed by. I'm personally much better off at this stage in my game where I don't really have that much approach anxiety. I'm much better off just like waiting until I see a girl who actually inspires me and then just going straight and doing it. And there are some of my coaches who do that. They're like the sniper approach and are extremely good with exactly that as well. They pick the girl they want, they go approach her, and it can be their first approach of the night and they pull. So there's different answers for different people, but there are essentially a few different ways to do it. One way to get into state is through physiology, right? So getting yourself in a positive physical state. So dancing can do this, for example. Or if you just like make yourself smile and laugh, weirdly enough, that's good for your physiology. And physiologically, you feel better, you feel more positive, and that can work. Walking around and just smiling at people, and then some of them will smile back. And when people smile back at you, that's going to increase your physiology and also your social responsiveness. And that can definitely get you into state. So that's another one. Other guys will walk around and they'll just try and like make eye contact and hold eye contact, and that gets them into state. So there's different processes you can do that are basically a physiological process and a social response. But those are two ways, right? One is physiological process. The other is social response. Reason approach all works is kind of an interesting one, is that if you do an approach, one of two things is going to happen, right? Either you're going to have a good reaction, which then makes you feel like you have more value in the environment, makes you feel more comfortable doing more approaches, or you get a negative response, but nobody kills you. And then you feel like the environment's more safe and you have more permission to do another approach. So either way, doing that approach creates an upside for you. The best way that, for me personally, as far as getting in state, what I like to do is I like to change my focus to one that's not outcome dependent, or that's not outcome dependent in the same way. Because a lot of the reason why guys hesitate about approaches is they're worried if it's going to go well, they're worried if it's going to go badly, they're worried about a rejection. But what I like to do is I change my focus to a learning one, being like, I'm going to practice this thing and I'm going to learn that thing. And once I change my focus to a learning focus, no matter what, the approach is positive. Because no matter what, I got a chance to practice. No matter what, I got a chance to learn that thing, right? So maybe I'm going to practice doing a particular type of a tease, and I'm going to just make sure I do that in every approach. Well, now I'm getting practice at that tease, and I'm getting feedback in terms of when it works, when it doesn't work, and I come out of that approach, and no matter what happened, whether it went badly or well, I learned something, and my game has grown, and that feels like progress to me and feels good to me. The other thing is that by just focusing on something else, focusing on something external, which is really the key to getting into state, is focusing external to your head instead of internal. When you put enough external focus into the world, when you're so focused externally, you don't have bandwidth. You don't have enough mental energy to be focused inside your head, and you forget to be in your head, right? And that's really the long-term secret to being in state, is to just be so focused on what you're doing and so focused in the outside world that you're not going through your internal thoughts and you're not self-monitoring and you're not worrying. So that's the end result that you want with any of these things. We'll load some more responses, and let's check out some more of these. How do you go out alone? Where do you go between sets? Okay, so this is interesting. How do you go out alone? Well, I get in my car, I drive to the club, I park, and I walk into the club. I know that sounds really dumb and really like obvious and really like I'm like making fun of the question, but I'm not. How do I go out alone is I show up at the club. In the same way that like one of the biggest steps to getting fit is just showing up at the gym, one of the biggest steps to going out alone is just showing up at the club. Just go there. You don't have to have a plan. You don't have to be perfect. Just show up and walk into the club. That's number one. That's step one. From there, you can use any of the things from above, right? If you want to go do an approach all, go show up alone and then just start talking to random people. If you want to go just like smile at everybody, fine. If you want to walk around until you see the girl that inspires you and that works for you, fine. If you want to go high five everyone, fine. All of those are completely viable. Any one of them, whatever works for you, totally fine. All right. Where do I go between sets? Now, this is a funny question because it implies that I have to go somewhere between sets. So a lot of people have this idea in Nightgame that everybody's watching them. That, you know, that there's like all this social pressure and there's like social proof and you know, if they're seen doing an approach, they burn the entire venue out. That's not true. Right now, there are some random weird places where that's true. Like when I learned Nightgame first, I learned in upstate New York in the middle of winter in these like half-empty bars where there were probably 2 or 3 girls in the entire bar. If you're going there, yeah, where you go in between sets matters because people actually will see you and it may make a scene. But if you're in any kind of a decently sized venue, nobody notices. Nobody knows what you're doing because they're so focused on their own thing. Also, if you go do talk to one person, talk to another person, talk to another person, it just looks like you're social and have a lot of friends. The only way anyone's going to notice a set is if it's a massive, massive blowout. And even then, the people in the immediate vicinity will notice for about 30 seconds or a minute. And if you just walk to the other side of the bar and open there, nobody will even know. So the level of anonymity you have is like way more than you think it is. Nobody cares about you. Nobody is noticing you. You have a lot more freedom than you think to make mistakes. And if anything, as long as you're having somewhat normal looking interactions in any way, it's only going to be positive social proof and make it look like you're a friendly social person. So this idea of where do you go between sets, it kind of implies that you should be nervous about something that you really, really shouldn't. Again, if you're in that really, really, really small town environment that I'm talking about, then what you should do between sets is you should be talking to the guys, talking to the bouncer. Bringing a wingman's helpful there in that particular case, but just talking to other people is very, very useful in that one case. But in that case, you shouldn't even really be doing cold approach. If the environment's that small and it's going to be the same people over and over again and whatever, you should be really actually talking to everyone and just trying to be friendly with the room in general. That's a different scenario. That's almost a social circle scenario, even though you're out. So that's a whole different ball of wax. But in an actual nightclub or actual bar that has a decent crowd, nobody fucking knows and nobody cares. All right. Okay, this is a great question. How do you screen for DTF girls during Nightgame? And by the way, for DTF, that means down to fuck, for anybody who doesn't know that acronym. All right, so how do you screen for that? There's a lot of different things that you can do. There are some things that are features of the girl and some things that are features of the interaction. And both do matter. And you should probably assess both independently. The best thing though, so I'm going to tell you guys the factors that I look for, but I'm also going to tell you guys don't overscreen. Okay, please, please, please don't overscreen. So many guys go out and they learn Nightgame and all they learn is screening. They just learn I'm just going to find the girl who's down, and so they just do a ton of approaches. They try and escalate really fast. They have this like very cheesy, forceful, pushy game. And they maybe eventually stumble upon a girl who's just horny. But usually that's not going to be the hottest girl. Usually that's not going to be the girl you really want. And if you learn to game that way, you're going to be failing to learn a lot of more important elements of game. And also, you're affecting the sample, right? By gaming in that way that's super screening rather than building attraction, you're going to make fewer girls DTF than would be if you weren't gaming in that way. So I really do highly recommend not taking exclusively that approach. But in terms of how to know what girl's down, the easiest way, and this is not the absolute most sophisticated way, the easiest way to know if a girl's down is this. You talk to the girl, and as you're talking, you gradually make things more sexual and you gradually escalate. And if she goes along with it and seems to like it, she's probably relatively DTF. If she doesn't, she's probably not. That's the most basic, most obvious answer. And actually, in a lot of ways, probably the best answer. Because it is simple, direct, and gets to the point. A lot of guys spend so much time thinking like, is she down? Can I get physical with her? Instead of just making a small move, seeing how she responds to that small move, and then going from there, right? So it's a lot easier to guess and check than to just try and like figure out the whole thing and then maybe make one big move. So that's the next thing. Okay. Factors that will make a girl more likely to go home with you. And by the way, this is not just here's another thing. It's not DTF should not be just an emotional thing, right? The thing, as you get better at game, getting girls attracted to you is the easy part. Having girls with good logistics is the hard part. So most of the things I'm looking for have a lot less to do with how much the girl likes me and a lot more to do with how free is she to leave her friends, or like how open is she to the idea of one night stand, those kind of things. That matters a lot more than specifically how much attraction you have. Especially, again, as you get advanced and can get attraction from most girls. So things that for DTF. If a girl is with friends that she is not super close with, that is a huge positive. All right. So if a girl's with her like best friends and she traveled 40 minutes with them and she's driving them home, that girl is probably not going home with you that night. That's very difficult to do. If the girl is traveling, she just landed in town and doesn't have any friends with her, it's very likely she could go home with you that night. If the girl is at like a work function and it like kind of has been going for a while, everybody's kind of leaving, and the people she knows them basically from work but aren't even her friends outside of work, that's a girl who could definitely be very likely to go home with you. Say the girl's traveling in town for a convention, again, similar to a work function, that could definitely happen, okay? So that's a big one you're looking for. The other one to look for is if her friends like your friends, or specifically she's with one friend and her friend likes your wingman, that's a huge factor in deciding that could definitely work. Okay, other things in terms of girls' personality. The more adventurous the girl is, and also the more the girl shows independence, the more likely it is. So if the girl has traveled a lot, she's more likely to be open for a one-night stand or going home the same night than a girl who's lived in the same city her whole life. And that's just because she's been in more environments where she's not necessarily being judged. If a girl's traveled alone, historically or in the past, that means that she's willing to be independent. She's willing to, she believes in her ability to take care of herself and doesn't need the support of her group at all times. That's another very, very positive indicator. Another positive indicator with the group is she willing to leave the group at all? Even if it's 10 feet to come over to the bar. If you're talking to the girl and you say, hey, let's go grab a quick drink, we'll come back to your friends, and she's willing to just leave their line of sight for a few minutes, that's a really good indicator that the girl's willing to go with you. If she's like, no, I have to stay with my friends, or if the friends are like, no, you can't take her, that's a really very negative indicator. So that's another thing I would look at. The other thing to look at is things that are related to sex. There is some correlation, not the biggest thing in the world, but there is some correlation. Girls who have tattoos and piercings tend to be a little more open to sex because they're associated more with doing things that break the rules. If a girl like drinks or engages in substance, those type of girls, again, because it's related to breaking the rules and because having sex with a person you just met isn't as politically correct, those tend to be related as well. So those are other factors you can look at. All right, next up, what makes a good club for night game? Well, there's basically a few factors. Factor number one is, are there hot girls there? That's maybe the most obvious, most easy one. Are there hot girls there? Factor number two is it like well suited to your style? Is it well suited to your style? And that can depend from person to person. If you're really good at dance floor game, a club being good for a night game may be a big dance floor. If you're really good at talking and really bad at dance floor game, a club being good for a night game may involve not being all dance floor. Okay, so you want to look at that factor and think how conducive it is to you. Generally, also, who do girls come with? If girls come with small casual groups where they don't know each other very well, that's going to be a little bit better. If girls come with only their best friends who they've known for years and they're traveling with, that's going to be problematic as well. But find the places you do the best. And the places you do the best may not be the absolute most exclusive places, but you do want to go to a place that's at least exclusive enough that the hot girls aren't deterred by it. So don't go to the dumpy, divey club that a hot girl would be like embarrassed to be found in. That you absolutely need to have at least that standard in your venue, because there are certain venues that are just like known as dumpy, known as low status, and you're just not going to find very many hot girls there. So at the very bare minimum, even if you don't go to the absolute peak most exclusive club, you need to go to one that has a little bit of cachet to it, or a little bit of it attracts girls who want to look their best and want to be seen if that physical appearance and that type of girl does appeal to you, which it does to a lot of guys. Okay, next question. What are tips for pulling when you don't have your own place? Apart from her place, where are places where escalation can happen and sex is plausible? So her place is your next best bet. In all honesty, your next best bet after that is to get a hotel room if you can. Get her very bought in so that can happen. Or you can use an app called Hotel Tonight where you can book hotels right then and there. You will have to still pick up the key, but at least you'll be checked in, so it'll be way less weird. And at least you won't go from hotel to hotel and be told that they have no rooms. Because that's the biggest pull killer with going into a hotel is you go there and they don't even have a room. That's really going to ruin the vibe. So something like that is a good way to go. There are some non-legal options, which I'm not going to discuss here. But guys do from time to time. If you do that, just make sure that you are being discreet and that you're not putting yourself in a bad situation legally. But if in the spur of the moment you're both down for an adventure, adventures can definitely happen too. And so that is a possibility. The biggest thing I will say in general is the worse your logistics, the more you need to get the girl bought in. Right? If you had a room inside the club, like if you were like the owner of the club and had a room upstairs, you wouldn't need very much in order to pull a girl there. But since you don't have that, if you live 40 minutes away from the place, you need to have a girl really, really bought in and really like logically almost decided on you. And I've had these situations. I've had situations at times where the girl's friends are all leaving to go to the airport to fly to a different country. And she basically says, nope, I'm staying with him. Right? And that's pretty much awful logistics. But I got the buy-in so high on her part that she's like, I trust this guy. I like this guy. I'm staying with this guy. And so that can happen. I also had guys where her friends are all leaving, and she's basically, nope, I'm staying here. You guys get home. It's fine. And even when the friends are like, you can't, I'll take it, etc. They just like firmly, no, I've decided, etc. The other thing, by the way, is getting the friends on your side in these situations so that you get less resistance from the friends will really help also. But again, the more buy-in, both from the girl and from the friends, the more you can deal with bad logistics. All right. Hey, Todd, can I game girls that actively saw me gaming other ones before? Yes, you can. And you should sometimes, but not at all times. So if a girl saw you talking to other girls before and it just looked like you were being social and friendly, it actually might help you. If a girl saw you approaching girls and getting rejected, approaching girls and getting rejected, approaching girls and getting rejected, it will probably work against you and maybe even very strongly work against you in that case. So be aware of that scenario and be aware of a couple things. One is when you leave an interaction, try and leave it pleasantly, right? A lot of guys have this idea of like burn it to the ground and they'll like stay in the interaction to make it awkward and things like that. Don't do that. Do not do that. If you do get rejected, leave it on positive. Like, okay, cool. Nice to meet you. Awesome. Even sometimes like I'll get rejected and I'll hug the girl on the way out. Okay, cool. Awesome. Here, give me a hug. We'll leave, whatever. And it looks to the world like you were positive. You like liked each other. You were totally friendly. There's no negative social proof coming off that. If anything, you got positive social proof off of a bad interaction. So you can even create that. Now, the one time I would be careful about gaming girls that when they saw you approaching other girls isn't for the girls that you're approaching. It's for the previous girl. So now, okay, let me couch this. I don't get too caught up in how a previous girl thinks about me because if I've left that interaction, there's a reason why. It means that I already decided that's not a set I'm going to take home tonight. And so I'm putting that as a lower priority. However, if there is a girl you genuinely really like and you genuinely had a really good connection with and you do want to follow up with her later, then it might not be the best idea to openly cold approach other girls right in front of her because that may make the connection you have with her seem less special to her. So let's say you talk to the girl who you think is your absolute, like your 10 out of this bar and you get along with her well and you exchange numbers with her, but she has some logistical reason she can't go home with you. Well, maybe in that case, it's better not to approach other girls right in front of her and it's better to leave her with that feeling that the interaction you had was special so that it's more likely she'll come out and see you another time. So keep that in mind. But in terms of for the other girls, think of it this way, right? You can either approach them or not approach them, and they can either reject you or not reject you. But the odds of something going well if you don't approach are zero. So even if they did see you do some bad approaches, or even if there's a chance they did, you still have no downside for approaching. So you still kind of may as well. But there are ways to mitigate and manage. All right, guys. I'll take just two more questions here. So let's see what else we got. Okay, let's see. Next one. Hey, yesterday. Oh, by the way, just so you know, we're at about 30 minutes left to get that webinar special. All right. So check out that URL. Is it toddvdating.com? What is it? /48. Oh, sorry. Click the button. Okay, sorry. So in the webinar, there is actually a button. So we have a link for you. So click that button. Head over there. But again, it's half an hour left to get that special offer with the bonus 500 off on coaching. So definitely check that out in the next half hour. All right. Question. Hi. Yesterday, a strange situation happened to me. I was with a girl in a club, spoke to her for a bit, and then I ended up kissing her outside. She then came back and did not respond to me and acted strangely and started hitting on other boys. What should I do? Yeah, it is a weird situation. I wish there was more information, kind of. It's a little hard to assess based on that. It could be that the escalation was too fast for her and she was uncomfortable with it. It could be that it could be that there's something weird, like there was something weird in the vibe, different things like that. Yeah, there's different stuff. It could be that she just got nervous because it was a little too close. It could be that she's going to talk to them to go make you jealous. There's a lot of different things like that. I wouldn't worry too much about things. This is a general game lesson. I wouldn't worry too much about things that happen as a one-off. So if something just happens once, or just happens in a weird situation with one random girl, don't get too caught up in it. Don't be too worried about it. If something's happening over and over again, that's when you should worry about it. So if you're having situations where the girls kiss you and then immediately run away, then if it's a pattern, it may be that you're going for the kiss in a way that doesn't have a lot of connection to it, or in a way that seems really gamey or playerish. And so you're setting yourself up to be that guy who she just kisses for fun, but then she doesn't really have a lot of attachment to. It's also possible sometimes, and again, not always, that there's sexual tension where the girl doesn't know she can have you or doesn't know she can kiss you. And then once you kiss her, she's proven to herself that she can. And then that sexual tension will release. So that can happen sometimes as well. But based on the question you asked, there's not really a lot I can say because there's just not enough information. I need more details about the situation, unfortunately. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. I'm just going to answer this one as in, what are your thoughts on the importance of being good in bed? This one here. Being good in bed absolutely helps with keeping girls around, and it may help you a little bit with your confidence for getting girls there. But there's a lot you can do, even if you're not good or if you're not that experienced. Someone else has this question about being a virgin, so I'll answer for them as well. If you're not very good or experienced in bed, be confident, take your time, and be very willing to try and please, and really, really focus on foreplay. If you get the girl aroused enough, even if you do come quickly, or even if you don't have the best performance with your penis, you will be okay. And if it's emotionally relevant, you're 99% of the time going to get another chance after the fact. So don't be too worried about it, right? So being good in bed is useful, but being worried about being good in bed is actually really, really, really negative. So have some confidence, do the best you can, and just say, fuck it, that's going to be good enough. And until and unless I can learn more. Okay, I'm going to do just a couple more here. Okay, so the next one, I like this one. Hey, Todd, go-to opens for group sets. General approach to that. Keep having girls' friends literally drag them away. All right, so again, I did answer this kind of earlier, but I'm going to add more to it. So I basically said there's two ways, right? One is to go girl to group, or the other is to go group to girl. And so for girl to group, what you'd be looking for is a girl who's kind of on the outskirts of her group or not immediately engaged. So if she's like on her phone while her friends are on her phone texting while her friends are talking, or she's like looking away for a second, something like that. Or if she made eye contact with you, a lot of times then I would open her with some kind of a tease or a push pull or something like that. And then from there, you want to immediately engage a group. So maybe be like, oh my God, what was that look? You and I are not going to get along. Wait, actually, who are you? Oh, wait, and who are your friends? And then you engage with the group. So that's more like tease her first and then engage the group. The other thing you can do for approaching the group and then going to the girl, basically take whatever opener you would do as your normal go-to for a girl by herself and just make it collective. So if instead of being like, hey, you look like trouble, you walk over to, oh my God, you guys look like trouble over here. And you open the whole group with that same thing that you would have said to just her. Or maybe you would have said like, that is a crazy look you have going on here. Like, whoa, the look of this group in general, I'm overwhelmed. Who are you guys? Right. And so you take the individual opener and you make it collective. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to transition very quickly to talking to the girl who is of interest to you, because obviously that's where you want things to happen. The other thing is really, really important. Make sure where you open the set from. Okay, so if you want to open next to your girl. So for example, if there's 4 girls and you open on the side opposite her, even if you engage the group, if at any point she can't hear you, or if at any point one of the other girls just engages really strongly with you and steps between you and your target, it's going to be really, really hard to re-engage without being incredibly needy. So you want to make sure that logistically within the interaction, wherever you approach, you have the ability to re-engage when you desire, that you have the ability to get her attention back if it ever wanes. Because in most interactions, you're not going to do a perfect job. And in most interactions, there will be some points where the attention will wane a little bit. So if that is the case, you want to be prepared for it. But yeah, those are the 2 approaches. One is girl to group. The other is group to girl. Either way, you need to open both the group and the girl within the first 20 to 30 seconds. If you fail on one or the other of those, you're either going to end up with the girl's friends dragging her away, or you're going to end up with the girl disengaged and you end up talking to her less attractive friends. So those are things that you want to avoid. This one I'll answer because it's a 1-sentence one. I'm a 27-year-old virgin. Telling the girl helping me or hurting me, let's say it's in a nightclub. Telling her is probably hurting you until it's getting very close to sex. And even then, maybe. It's not something I would just disclose again. I would just try and do the best you can. Try and watch some porn, watch some videos, learn as much as you can about doing it relatively well or relatively competently, and then just do the best you can. And you can always explain after the fact that it was your first time or something like that. And girls will usually be pretty okay with it. If you're having a hard time in the bedroom, at the time you can be like, hey, listen, I'm not the experienced, and you can explain then. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the question. I really appreciate you guys being a part of this experience. We obviously, without the questions, we couldn't have done it without you. We have about 20 minutes left to get that webinar special, so definitely go over and check that out. Also, if you have any questions in general, if you have questions about the special or whatever, send them over to todd@toddvdating.com, and I will either answer them or get you to the appropriate people on my team to get those answered for you. We'll try and help you out as best we can. I know some of you may be like, oh, I want to do this, but I'm not sure. Like, I have this question, etc. Get those questions to me as soon as possible. I'll try and help you out with them. We'll try and get you set up, because again, we are on a very short time crunch. Again, 20 minutes left for that extra special deal for you guys on the webinar. All right. With that said, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being here. It's been fun. Actually, there were some really good questions. Some of them surprised me. And yeah, hopefully we'll do this again. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. With that, let me go back to where I was at, and we are going to end the call. Thanks, guys. Take care.